Hello once again, watchers of good movies. My name is Nick Pell, and this is my review of Solo, a Star Wars story. Now, this film has dealt with a lot of controversy during its production. It changed directors about towards the end of its production cycle, reshot a lot of scenes with Ron Howard as the new director, and so a lot of people were very hesitant about how good this film would be with a lot of reshoots and behind-the-scenes shenanigans going on. I don't know a whole lot about it per se, I just know the basics. But it left me concerned too as a Star Wars fan. So did Solo Star Wars story beat the odds, or is this just another film which does not live up to the legacy which is Star Wars? Let's find out. As I said, Alden Ehrenreich, he plays Han Solo as a much younger version of Han Solo. As far as we can tell, as far as I could tell, I don't know, there's probably a set timeline that's been talked about already, but as far as I could tell, this film takes place maybe a year, or at least it starts out, maybe a year after the events of Episode 3. The Empire is fully established, they're in control of a lot of different areas of the galaxy, and they have their own military, and they're recruiting people for stormtrooper stuff. And so it's really kind of interesting to see that side of it. You don't really get to see the little nitty-gritty level, at least not in the main set films that took place during this time. And so I really like what they've done with like Rogue One and now Solo. We're going to see kind of the behind the scenes of what's been going on in this military. Not everyone's good, not everyone's bad per se. But Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo, I thought he was fine. I enjoyed his performance as it is. He took his own take on the character. You can never really live up to Harrison Ford's take on Han Solo because it's so iconic. That said, I thought he did a good job. I thought he had enough quips which really fit into the character, and he really made the role his own, which is what you can really only expect for him to do. Emilia Clarke of Game of Thrones fame, she is also in this film. She plays a woman who is a friend of Han's in his past. They get separated, and then about 3 years later, they are reunited somehow, and she ends up going on this adventure with him. But she has this kind of mysterious past to her now, and you don't really know whose side she's ultimately on. And so she makes her a very compelling character, and she only grew more interesting and compelling as the film went on. So I really want to see more from Emilia Clarke's character when they keep making these standalone films outside of the main trilogy films. Woody Harrelson plays the smuggler who ends up taking on Han Solo as his essentially an apprentice. Han joins him for a job, they end up forming a crew, and they have good chemistry together. Woody Harrelson didn't really stand out significantly to me. He had some funny scenes, some funny quips, but he was fine for the most part in the role. It's nothing terribly memorable. And then Donald Glover as Lando, I thought he was really brilliant. He has this just charisma to him as the character, which was just infectious, and I really enjoyed seeing him on screen. He just has this essence to him, which just makes him really fun to watch. And if the rumors are true that they're doing a Lando film at some point, I think he'll just be amazing in that. As you expect with Disney, Star Wars budget, the special effects and everything looks amazing. You have the Millennium Falcon, which looks new, obviously, because it is new-ish. The space battles look really cool. Just the effects in general, they look amazing because it's Star Wars and you wouldn't really expect anything less. You can probably guess what's green screen, what's practical effects, all that type of jazz. But regardless, it all looks really, really good, and I had really no complaints on that front. There's also a lot of really good musical cues that they use throughout the course of the film. For the most part, as far as I can tell, it does stick to its own soundtrack, but there are callbacks to John Williams' original score, such as just different themes that you'll recognize once you hear them. Just when iconic moments happen, like Han and Chewie sitting in the pilot and co-pilot seats for the first time, or when the Falcon is revealed, things like that. They are iconic moments. They're kind of stepping stones and milestones for the franchise, and it's things which you know are very significant to these people's lives. I also thought that the pacing, while a little bit slow at times, it worked for the most part for me. I was never really bored with the film. I only checked my watch maybe once throughout the course of the movie when it kind of came to a slow section. But for the most part, pacing works well for this film. I was, like I said, never really bored, which is good for a Star Wars movie. In regards to issues that I had, it is obviously a little bit predictable. You know that Alden Ehrenreich's character, along with Chewbacca, they are not going to die because they're essential to the main original Star Wars trilogy. So you know that any precarious situation that they're in, they will make it out okay. That said, it also works opposite for characters that you did not see in the original trilogy, like Woody Harrelson's character, among other characters which are introduced throughout the course of the film, which we don't see anywhere else to our knowledge. So it was a little bit predictable in regards to maybe who would end up getting killed off throughout the course of this film, maybe who would end up disappearing at some point. And so there was just that little aspect, and just me thinking about it in the back of my mind as I was watching the film. But it doesn't really spoil anything or ruin the experience. It's just something that you know to kind of expect, and you know that, oh hey, Alden Ehrenreich's probably going to be okay in this situation. The film also starts off a little bit slow. It deals with, like I said, the events about 3 years prior to the main events of the film, where we are introduced to Alden Ehrenreich's Han Solo and Emilia Clarke's characters, and we see kind of how the relationship formed, where they are, how they got separated, things of that sort. And so that part started off a little bit slow. It was exciting at times, but still a little bit overdone, I thought. Last thing we really want to say about this film is that while it doesn't have the pizzazz and the awe-inspiring scenes or the gravity of situations that the main trilogy films do have, and the main numbered sequels and everything, I thought that this film was good. I enjoyed it for what it was. I thought it stood on its own really well, and I thought it really just fit into the Star Wars universe as its own entity, and didn't really feel like it needed to connect to the greater Star Wars story, kind of like Rogue One was forced to lead up into the events of Episode 4. This film, because it's kind of vague as to where it is on the timeline, was able to kind of make more liberty-inducing choices with its characters, with its plot, well, without having to really worry about affecting the general timeline and continuity and things of that sort, so long as obviously Han and Chewie survive along with Lando. That said, this film also does set up a sequel of sorts. It does lead into a certain character and what they are doing in connection to kind of the greater Star Wars universe. I don't know if that will be in a Han Solo sequel of some sort, if that will be in the Lando movie, if it will be in the Obi-Wan movie, which is rumored to be happening with Ewan McGregor. But I am very curious to see what they end up doing with a certain character by the end of the film, because they set up their storyline and their character to be very, very interesting, and I really want to see what they end up doing with that character by the end of their plot line, and what they could end up bringing into the greater Star Wars universe. So guys, overall, I enjoyed Solo, a Star Wars story. I thought it was good. I'd definitely say check it out if you're a Star Wars fan, as long as you don't expect it to be on the scale of one of like Force Awakens, Last Jedi, Return of the Jedi, any of those like great Star Wars films. I think you'll have a good time, because it is a good movie, it's well done, and while it does have some choppy edits at times, which maybe aren't as consistent as they could be at times, it was still a fun experience. I really enjoyed seeing the origins of Han Solo and Chewbacca's relationship and seeing how he got the Falcon ultimately. Okay, guys, those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments down below. Did you like the film as much as I did? Did you hate it more than I did? Let me know. Like, favorite, comment, and subscribe once again if you so choose. I appreciate it immensely. And as always, my people, my name is Nick Pell, and once again, keep on watching.